You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, we're going to talk about Bubba Wallace because his penalty has been handed down for the incident from the Chicago street race the other day. It is exactly what I figured it would be because, well, NASCAR has went out of its way to protect its token DEI driver, Bubba Wallace. I mean, seriously, of course, this is the incident we're talking about right here. It was long after, there's a comment from a NASCAR fan that points something out, and we'll get to it in a minute. Boy, and I think it is dangerous when you really think about what's happened. We've talked about the fact that Bubba Wallace has come out. He's the one that says he's mentally incapable of processing certain things, anxiety, emotions, keeping it together. And I think a lot of us have been banging the drum that he's eventually going to hurt somebody on a racetrack. These cars are dangerous. At the end of the day, they are dangerous. So this is, of course, the incident that happened. You can see this right here. Bubba Wallace has been fined $50,000 for his post-race incident with Alex Bowman. I do believe that Alex Bowman coming out and trying to give Bubba Wallace a pass probably hurt the situation in Bubba Wallace getting the kind of penalty he should have got. But I said NASCAR uses Bubba Wallace as a propaganda machine, and that's their poster boy. They were going to protect his playoff aspirations. And we'll get to that in a second. But this is, of course, what happened right here. The window net was down for Alex Bowman's car, and that was a little payback for an incident that happened earlier in the race. The roads were slick. Alex Bowman came out, said he was messing with his windshield wipers. His tires locked up. He banged Bubba. And this was payback later on. That's Bubba driving the McDonald's 23, and that's the Ally Bank Alex Bowman car. Now, let's look at what NASCAR said here. I knew they were not going to hammer this guy. I knew they weren't. They don't have the guts to do it. They really don't. NASCAR officials issued a penalty Wednesday for an off-track infraction after the checkered flag of last week's NASCAR Cup Series race at the Chicago Street Course. Bubba Wallace, driver of the number 2311 Racing Toyota, was fined $50,000 for violating sections 4.4.B and D NASCAR member code of conduct during Sunday's Grant Park 165. And we all know what happened here exactly during the cool-down lap. After the inclusion of the 2024 Chicago Street Race, Wallace slammed the door of his number 23 machine into the side of Chicago winner Alex Bowman's number 48 Chevrolet. The post-race confrontation came after lap 25's incident when Bowman's Hendrick Sports Chevy tangled up with 23, causing Wallace to clip the side and spin into the wall. Wallace subsequently finished the race 13th and currently sits 17th in the playoff standings, 45 underneath the elimination line for the 16-field driver. And I think that's a very important distinction. I said NASCAR will do everything possible here to make sure they don't hammer their poster child, their DEI propaganda machine. They don't want to knock him any further out of the playoff chase. They want Bubba Wallace in the playoff chase. Somebody put up, it had been 665 days since Bubba Wallace has won a race. That was 3 days ago. So we're on day 668 days since he's won a race. But yet you can bet Bubba Wallace is on every piece of marketing material there is for NASCAR. All right? And I said he ought to get fined $50,000. He ought to be deducted points. He should be parked for a race, really and truly. But they're not going to do that, and they weren't going to do that because they were going to insulate Bubba Wallace because that's what they do. All right, so here we go. Let's get to some reaction. A lot of NASCAR fans are pissed about this today. Then they should be. No point deduction. Yeah, he'll do it again in a few months. That's exactly the point. I mean, every year it's something with Bubba. Every year, Kyle Larson. I mean, every year it is something that's going to happen with this guy, and eventually somebody's going to get hurt. I mean, seriously. How many points? He should use the car under yellow on the racetrack. Same should apply to Chase Elliott. A lot of people are bringing up Chase Elliott. I'll be shocked if NASCAR don't fine him. I don't know what's going to happen there. No points. NASCAR is a joke. I mean, people are pissed. Seriously. No talent loser. He needs to be fired. I don't know what Michael Jordan is doing. What is 2311 doing? Why are they continue to prop this guy up? I don't know if it's the fact that they don't want to get destroyed by the mainstream sports media, which they would if they let Bubba Wallace go. But he does not win races for them. And in my opinion, he puts a liability issue on 2311. It feels like something sinister is eventually going to happen. Why not park him a race? Let him think about what he did. Finding a millionaire does absolutely nothing. I mean, at the very, very least, deduct him points. You know, at the very least, deduct him points. 50,000, where's the points to, in my opinion? This was clearly over the line and can't be compared to any other incident. I mean, honestly, what? No points penalty? Not much different than the incident last week with Burton and Hocevar. We talked about that yesterday over on Black and White Sports. Should have been a 100-point penalty. For real, for real. And this is the one right here that really raised my eyebrows and made me think about how dangerous this was. All right? We talk about Bubba Wallace being unable to mentally process situations, manage anxiety. I think that makes him a liability on the track. Well, check this out. The difference between him and Chase, talking about the Chase Elliott incident, Chase was literally right after it happened. Bubbles was 6 hours and 2 rain delays later. All right? That's a very good point to bring up. Why is it a good point to bring up? Because that means he had all that time to cool down and process what happened and come down and be good and not cause an incident. Instead, he stewed and stewed and stewed and got madder and madder and more angry. All that time passed, and then he went out and did what he did that long after the fact. Seriously, think about that. That is somebody that cannot control their emotions. When you have time, look, it'd be one thing if you lost your temper in the heat of the moment, blah, blah, blah. Still not great. Still not good. But for him to have sat around and had a chance to actually cool down, no, he got more angry as time went on, which means he's got inability to flush this. He's going to hurt somebody on a racetrack. That's all there is to it. Bubba Wallace is going to hurt somebody on the racetrack, and NASCAR is too much of a cur dog to do anything about it because they want to keep their DEI driver available for the playoff chase. Make no mistake about it. They want Bubba Wallace in the playoffs. It is a priority for NASCAR. No wonder their ratings have dropped and they've lost so many fans. Seriously, it's a joke. It truly is. This is a joke. No penalty points. Didn't park him. Weak. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.